Hey guys, so we're going to be doing a dye video today. It's actually kind of warm and nice outside, and I really don't have to go anywhere, so my health is doing pretty good today. So we're actually going to dye like a couple of dolls. We're going to start with the Rockstar dolls. Now, as you can see here, I have Carmen, and she's already sorted. I've got her rainbow stuff braided so it's out of the way for when I do the main part of her hair. She's actually really complicated because we're going to be neutralizing each individual color and then repainting her baby hairs. Now I already have Vanessa and Lyric like about half done. As you know, since they're getting a lot of black takes a while and you're really kind of dipping over and over and over again. It's not really particularly quick, so they're sitting aside. Now the other doll we're dyeing today, we're going to be dyeing Lily Cheng. This is actually the okay, so if you guys followed my Lily Cheng video, you know that my first one was damaged. Amazon gave me a full refund. There were no numbered ones left to order, so I ordered this unnumbered one. She's actually a variant with different lips than the original, which I'll throw that in here. If you guys follow me on Instagram, then you've already seen it. It's like one is just more like you can see a very obvious heart, whereas the other one is more of a soft gradient. Oh, and I started going ahead for like the next video and buying duplicates of all of, so I finally got all of the Pacific Coast dolls. I finally got Simone, who's the one I was missing for like the longest. And so now it's kind of, I'm buying duplicates of everybody. I still need my store to restock on Bella. They didn't have any. And I still need, who else was it? Phaedra. All of the ones I found, like her baby hairs were like way out here with like a huge gap. And I'll show you guys what I mean. Like it's like huge gaps. It's not like, oh, well, you know. But honestly, if I'm dyeing her, I'm probably going to repaint her anyway. So I might just get one of the gappy ones and call it a day. Because it's just weird because with the baby hairs molded on and with her hairline being like really jagged, I feel like even dyeing it's like it's not going to hide that. Even if I paint the baby hairs to match, it doesn't hide the fact that there's no like molded section there. But we'll see. For now, I'm going to go ahead and heat up the water for Lily, and we're just going to go Scarlet Red for her. I'm already heating up the black for Vanessa and Lyric, and then we'll work on Carmen. Okay, so I've got my dye pot for the black. It's got about 1/4 a bottle of dye. I've got the one for the red. It's a bit closer to like an 1/8 a bottle. What we're going to start with is actually undoing Lily's hair. As you can see, I've taken out her earrings, taken off her dress, removed her hands and bracelets just because they're small and I don't want them to fall off. So we are going to start by removing these 2 rubber bands right here. Okay guys, so upon removing those bands, I'm actually able to flip her over and pull the hair that goes around the buns loose to reveal more rubber bands. Sorry, I'm very clumsy, like trying to hold the phone in one hand and film with the other or whatever. Alright, we're going to remove these bands next. Okay, you guys, so by removing those, her buns are all the way out, and we're left with some really crimpy, wild-looking hair. And you can see her hair pins here. So they are in, as I've heard, much like Poppy's butterflies, which means that we're going to have to heat up her head before putting her in the dye in order to remove them so that we don't stick them in the dye. Okay, you guys, so here is one of the hairpins removed, and you can see it is very similar to Poppy's butterflies. And I'm going to show you guys how I did that. What I did was I ran some really hot water and I got her hair, like her head, really squishy. This is one of the problems with when people change their doll's eyes. They don't get the head soft enough. And then just like with Poppy's butterflies, this has been kind of hard to do while holding my phone and recording, but I took a fork and I just kind of slid it up under the flower so that I could pull upward. And then I held her. Let me see if I can adjust my phone so that you guys can see me do this. Okay, so yeah, I kind of wedged it up under there. I don't want to be gentle because I don't want to risk pulling out the paint or whatever. But I just gently pushed to the base of the fork. And voila, it comes out. Okay, you guys, so you can I have my hair up. You can tell I mean business. I just wanted to point out that when dyeing Lily Chang, you don't have to remove her hair sticks because the section of hair that you're dyeing is all underneath. You'd have to hold her a bit differently, but technically you don't have to remove them. I did that because I had a lot of people asking, are they removable? For people who just wanted to, like if they had multiple lilies and they wanted to restyle her hair differently and not have the hairpins in. So I just wanted to show that you could remove the hairpins if you want to. You obviously, like I said, you don't have to in order to dye just those orange streaks. So now let's get her in the dye. You guys, so I literally thought I was recording where I dipped Lily in the dye, but apparently I'd actually turned my camera off. So when I thought I was turning it off, I turned it on and recorded like my ceiling for like 5 minutes. But basically what I did was the usual. I dipped her in the dye for about 30 seconds, took her over to the sink, did a 10-second cold wash. So like I said, it's like you're looking at like 20 to 30 seconds in the dye, then a 10-second cold rinse. Now the point of this cold rinse is mostly just so that her hair cools off enough that you can separate it and check it and make sure that the color is spread evenly and that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to check your color. You don't want to just keep dyeing because it's very easy to go past the point that you want and end up too dark. Once I was done with her like dyeing in cold rinse cycles, I kind of stood her up and just ran some hot water over her hair, which was like effectively boil dyeing it, I guess, in order to get those like crimples out from where the rubber bands had been. Now I'm going to show you guys what I did next. So I actually brought her over, and once I just stood her up and let the hot water pour down over her. Once I knew that it had boiled her hair straight, I took my old like dye brush, brushed her hair straight, separated her bangs the way I wanted, because I really, like, I love Lily. She's got lovely eyebrows and that cute little mark on her forehead, but you can't see it because her bangs are straight across covering all of it. So it's a gorgeous detail that is essentially useless unless you do something to her hair. So, and honestly, like, it's red, but I don't know how well you can see it. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see it in this light. It is red now versus orange, and I have her bangs kind of pushed to the side. Now I've used this old jade beanie in order to hold her bangs down so that they dry in this position versus like all flipped up and weird as though, you know, I don't know, like you guys, we've all seen it where we go to dry their bangs and it just comes out like a huge mess. Okay, you guys, so I've already dyed Vanessa black once, but in her colored braids, you can still see some of the original, like the purple and blue and whatever. I think this has like orange and red, or yeah, that's right. So we are just dipping her again. And it's not unusual when you're using the black dye to have to do it multiple times. Red black is kind of its own beast. It really doesn't like to take particularly well or go all the way black on the first try. A lot of times it leaves color sheen behind and you have to do it like multiple times. Honestly, on a lot of dolls I use human hair dye. I leave it on for several hours, and then once it covers most of it, even if it doesn't cover all of it, then I'll come in with the red black, which is really what I've done here. I actually went over her hair with human hair dye because I thought it would be easier. I just like to say that it didn't do bad. It actually did better on her hair than I expected, but it didn't get in between all of the little braids, hence why we're going in with the red dye. Now I don't like using human hair dye because it takes a really exasperatingly long time, and it's really messy and kind of just, I don't know, exhausting. It looks like all of Vanessa's braids are well filled in and beautifully darkened. So the next time we see her, she will be getting her baby hairs repainted to match. I'm gonna go lay her aside. Okay, you guys, so I'd actually previously done the black human hair dye on Lyric as well. I only left it in for about an hour, so it's not really that dark. Honestly, it just got to the point where it was very messy and splotchy and not really worth what I was hoping to deal with. So I decided that, you know what, it's easier to do it the way I've done it prior, where I go in with like a toothpick or even just my finger, pick up a section I want to have dyed, dip it, rinse it, etc. It's still going to take a while, but not nearly as long, not nearly as messy as the human hair dye. But we are going to get our hair nice and black, just like I showed you guys in the previous video where we discussed what she looks like on the show versus what she looks like in person. As you can tell, like my lyric has like this one random weird plug in the middle of her. I don't know, it's not enough to bother me really, but it's just kind of strange. All right, you guys, let's get to the separating and dipping. Okay, you guys, so I brought my pot of black over to the sink so I could do my dips and cold rinses. I started off with this very front row of hair. And I don't want to take all of the purple out because, as you saw in previous photos, her hair does maintain a purple sheen even though it looks black in the animated series. So we're just going to keep taking sections and chunks and dipping, leaving some colored sections to be seen like as her hair moves. Okay, you guys, and I'm finished with lyric. You can see that her hair has a lot of black in it. I left a lot of the purple, I've left streaks of blue, and I even left the streaks of the other colors back here. Like the oranges, the greens, the yellows. Sorry, the lighting in my kitchen right now is not the best because it's a little overcast today. But like I definitely wanted to leave some of her rainbow, but I just wanted her hair to be black with that purple sheen, just like it is in the pictures I showed you guys. So I'm going to be letting these three girls dry for now. Alright, you guys, so again, Carmen is really the hardest because each one of these colors is balanced by a different color. So in order to neutralize them, we have to dye what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors more? I don't even know. So I've separated her color pieces the best I can. You can see like I've missed like the occasional strand, but it's not going to be like a really big deal. And then I braided them to get them out of the way so that I can work on this neon pink first. So in order to balance out pink, you need green. So what we're going to do is, as per usual, we're going to put our stock on our sink. We're going to run a little bit hot water. We don't need like a ton of hot water, but we do need enough to soak these big curls. So we're going to run quite a bit of hot water, and then we're going to put, probably, since this is a neon pink, a bit of neon green in. Now when you're neutralizing, you don't want a ton of dye. You're not trying to dye their hair that color. You're just trying to add enough of that color to clear out this color. Okay. So I've started by wetting her curls in order to make them sink down in the dye better. Now if you notice, the dye is like, the sink is mostly clear. It's mostly water. I've got just, you know, probably a 1/16 of a bottle of the neon green and just a couple of squirts of the Kelly green. As you can see, it's kind of towards the center. We're going to swish her around in that and see if it does anything or if we need to add more color. Alright, so you can see it kind of starting to turn, but it may need a little more green. And you just want to really add like a couple of drops at a time when you're doing this. You don't want to add a lot. We want her hair to go brown. Right now, it's kind of turning a darker pink, but it's not really neutralizing the way we wanted. So I'm going to add a little more dye. Okay, guys, I'm really bad at measuring dye. Usually, this is what I do. I'll open the top just a little, and then just gently squirt it in like a couple of squirts. So like, or at the very least, like I'll pop it open so it doesn't like risk squirting out like crazy places. And add like a bit like that. I don't really use like a measuring cup or spoons, so I'm really terrible at giving measurements. I actually had someone who mentioned that if I made like a PDF or something with all of my dye formulas, that people might be willing to purchase it. But the truth is, I don't know my dye formulas. I just kind of do stuff. Okay guys, so I ran it in a little more. It's basically kind of turning our hair orange. So it means we're getting somewhere, but not very quickly. So I added probably 1/8 of a bottle of Rit Camel. Now Rit's browns and tans are very, very green based, so it should have the same basic effect. But because it's a little more opaque, a little less translucent, you're going to see it probably work a little faster. Okay guys, so you can kind of see that it's starting to turn a more neutral color. It's still very orangey, but we're working on it. Like I said, I'm only doing this in 30-second increments because I don't want to risk getting her hair too dark. I'm not totally stressed over if it doesn't come out brown per se, because honestly, I can just buy a box of human hair dye in the dark brown and put it over, or use the dark brown from Rit. Right now, I'm just trying to see if neutralizing works. Okay, you guys, so I added like a bit of chocolate, like dark brown, not chocolate, the dark brown, and a whole lot more green, and it's still just this very orangey brown. So maybe her hair wasn't pink, maybe it is more orange based. So I ran a sink of the, like a little bit of the evening blue mixed in with just a tiny bit of the brown and green that was already left. And we're gonna see if the blue doesn't help take out these orange tones. Okay, you guys, so since that was a blue bath, I went ahead and took the orange sections of her hair out to neutralize them. So they're much more of a, like, tame orange now. And her hair, like, I don't know how it's gonna look on video, but in person it's very much like a kind of red, earthy, clay brown versus, like, the weird orange brown that it was. Now we're gonna do a purple bath, and we're gonna take these yellow ones out. Don't forget to take your top rubber bands out, because you don't want to end up leaving, like, a weird line underneath them. So let's get all of our yellow bands out. Okay, guys, so I've got the yellow streak from the back and the two from the front separated. Again, it's going to be about how we hold the doll, because anything that's not yellow does not need to go in this purple. So in order to do, like, the hairline around the front and back, we're definitely going to have to twist her and very carefully hold her hair out of the way. I know it always looks like I'm skipping some steps, but it's because I can't really hold my phone and do this at the same time. And every, like, tripod that I've had has been really wobbly and, like, kind of flops over, and I don't want to lose my phone to the sink, even though it's, like, the newest iPhone, and I think they're pretty much waterproof. Like, I'm not really trying to risk that. So let's do this purple swish right quick. Again, you're doing, like, at this point, 10-second swishes in mostly water with a little dye, and then, 10-second cold rinses until it looks toned enough to not be a very bright color, but more of a neutral, subdued version of itself. So weirdly enough, the yellow kind of turned green. And that's the thing with these neon colors, like, they don't always sit different, but I thought that the rainbow colors would be similar to what they were before. But like I said, it doesn't really matter, because in the end we're just going to do other stuff with it. So for now, let's just enjoy ourselves and see what we can neutralize and what we can't. Okay, you guys, so I had this nightmare back when I first started planning to do the Rockstar Girl's hair, that it was just going to be terrible, that I was never going to get Vanessa's braids soaked all the way through, but I did, that just Lyric's hair would be an absolute logistical nightmare of trying to band rainbow pieces to stay out of the way and such. It actually was a nightmare as far as the human hair dye goes. So there's, in both Lyric and Vanessa, I wasted like a ton of time with the human hair dye, only to still have to go in with the RIT later to do it right. And it was a huge mess, and it was just really bleh. But with Carmen, it was always the worst nightmare. It was that it would still be like birthday party clown hair, but in doo-doo colors. And it wasn't far off. So as you can see, I haven't done the purple yet, but I really feel like a sink wash in the yellow is going to do jack doo-doo. I did forever on the blue and orange. It did nothing. The green in red, pink, everything, it did nothing. The orange is actually even still orange. And the yellow turned green. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try this again, but in boiling this time. But honestly, 10 out of 10. I'm glad I'm doing the Rockstar Girl's hair, but never want to do it again. Guys, please tell me in what world purple and yellow make green. Why? Why? It's so much more green in real life. Like, it's very, very seaweed. So, you guys are probably wondering, well, did the hot orange at least neutralize the blue? No. No, it really, really didn't. I'm at a loss for words. Why is the color theory chart failing me? Okay, you guys, so here are the results on Lily Chang. You can see that the red is very different than the orange. I also actually ended up removing her bangs, because even after I tried to split them, like, you still couldn't see all of this stuff, like her little forehead mark and her eyebrows. So I did remove her bangs. You can definitely see that the red, oops, my bad, the red is different than the orange. It goes a lot better with her outfit. She does have that one weird plug in the middle of her head, just like Lyric did. I don't know what that is, but, so, yeah, I actually had to remove a lot of the tinsel. I did leave some, because I do like the tinsel, but it was actually so thick that it completely covered her dyed stripes, so you couldn't even see that I did anything. And I just plucked those out my hand. Same with the bangs. I just used a pair of tweezers and plucked them right out without any problems or complications, and then I styled her hair just in this high ponytail for now to show off her new color. Alright, you guys, for these girls, let me tell you, so you probably noticed I skipped the rest of trying to dye Carmen because it wasn't going anywhere, and I was getting frustrated. At just some point, I just boiled an entire pot of just like all the browns and reds and blacks and everything I could just kind of mix in there, and I ended up getting this very dark burgundy color with some black streaks where the rainbow was, but it was a nightmare. As far as Vanessa goes, I did get all of her braids very evenly coated. They look really good. I swapped her eyes with Carmen because I wanted her kind of based off of Dion from Clueless to go with the Cher from Clueless, Cheryl. I also painted her baby hairs, which again, I'm kind of saving that for the repainting video. I'll just use basic acrylic black with some gloss coat to seal it. So here you can see Carmen's hair. It's got a lot of red. You can kind of see the sheen from the old rainbow, but it's not that bad. And I did also paint her baby hairs. And then with Lyric, honestly, this black hair makes her makeup make sense. Like, it doesn't look as bad this way as it does on the doll with the purple hair. And all I really did was darken it, and it was enough to like balance things, for me anyway. So I did leave the rainbow underneath. It didn't really muddy it per se. Like, you can still see the orange, the yellows, the blues, the greens. It wasn't great. Why do I always get her hair stuck on her eyelashes? I swear this is a thing all the time with dolls. All right, you guys. So here are the Rockstar girls. Again, I don't want to ever have to dye them again. Carmen, somebody actually warned me she was going to be a nightmare, and they were right. Alright guys, as for my final thoughts, honestly, Lily was really easy to dye. It didn't really require much to get her to go from orange to red. Honestly, taking out her bangs took me the longest, and I should have probably filmed that, but I didn't think about it. As far as Carmen goes, as I said, an Instagram follower of mine who has quite a bit of experience dyeing did warn me when they first saw that I was wanting to dye her that she was going to be troublesome, that her rainbow really wouldn't take dye, that her hair just struggled to even go to colors similar in the area to it. With Lyric, I wish I hadn't wasted so much time with the human dye. I wish I'd just gone straight to the Rit dye. I don't know if I would have still had to do it more than once, but it would have been less messy and taken a lot less longer. It was just kind of troublesome. And finally with Vanessa, I really love the way she turned out. It was worth it. Again, I don't know if I wish I would have just skipped the human hair dye because it was messy and troublesome, but in the end she turned out really good and I'm happy with that. I really don't want to ever have to dye the Rockstar dolls again, ever. Okay guys, I'm going to wrap this up with this lovely picture I took of Carmen, who was such a pain in the butt to dye, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and all of its trials and tribulations. If you'd like to see more videos, you know, go ahead and click subscribe, follow, all of that stuff, ring the bell for notifications, follow me over on Instagram if you're interested in seeing more photos of these dolls and how they turned out, what outfits I chose for them, etc., or just other dolls that I've done. And I will absolutely look forward to seeing you guys for our next video, which will be probably the Pacific Coast dye video with any luck. So yeah, enjoy, and I'll see you next week.